Okay. It's Thursday, May 2nd, and you're here for the North Bend School District Board meeting. You're in the right place. So with that, we'll have the call to order and a flag pledge coming right up. My left. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yay, roll call. Let's see. Hey, we got Carol Yardley zooming in. Michelle Roberts, Nathan McClintock, Julie Thies, and Mary Schilling. We have got 6. Good. Okay. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second it.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Okay, with that, all in favor say aye. Aye. Nay?
Yeah.
6-0. Okay, public participation. Item 3, the board welcomes comments and questions from the public. If you wish to address the board, please fill out a public participation sheet available at the table with Michelle and give it to the board secretary. We will ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. I think we have one. Heather Fleming.
So I'm changing my hat and I'm going to put on my Bristol Event Center event coordinator hat. And I just wanted to share that, I don't know if you didn't know, we hosted the prom at Bristol Event Center. And I just wanted to share that the kids were amazing. And we opened a week early so that we could host the prom. And part of the deal with opening a week early was the kids had to come in and clean and scrub the floor and dust and get rid of the cobwebs. And we had a great group of kids that came in on Friday and they worked so hard. They stayed after the prom on Saturday and helped clean up. And they were probably one of the most respectful groups we've ever had in there. So wanted to share that with you guys, and some of our hard workers are actually here today. And it was just a super fun event. So I just wanted to make sure to highlight that and share that with you guys. And we've already got it booked for next year, May 17th, and they don't have to scrub the floor next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Any more public comment? We're good. Okay. Agenda item 4, Anthony Hernandez and James Labine or Labine? Coos Bay Toyota vehicle donation.
Hi there.
Hey.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it very much. I'm Anthony Hernandez. I have owned Coos Bay Toyota for almost 2 years now, coming up at the end of this month. And we were looking for opportunities to be able to sponsor every club and every team. I want to give everything to everybody, right? But to be able to sponsor every club and every team, but just like you guys do, we have a budget. So how do we accomplish that budget and still give back to everybody? The place that I came from, what we did was give a car away. And that car basically gives every club, the chess club, to the soccer team, to the football team, to the debate team, whatever else it is, it gives them all the opportunity to go out and sell tickets to go to any events that they want to go to or get new equipment. And every dollar that they raise goes to the club that raises the money. So 100% of the proceeds. I don't ask for anything back in return. Giving those kids the opportunity to be able to have funds, because we all are on a budget, like I said, right? I know that the funding for schools is not the best right now. But it gives them all the opportunity to do so. And the taxes will be paid for by me. All the fees will be paid for by me for the person that wins it. The only thing they have to pay for is the tickets that they sell or that they buy, as said too. So, the vehicle is a 2024 Toyota Corolla. It's a $26,000 vehicle. But some of the history that we've had in the past, so I came from Idaho Falls, Idaho. And I owned a Volkswagen store before this, but Rigby, Idaho was close to us and we had sponsored that school. The first year that we sponsored them, they raised $60,000. The second year we sponsored them, they raised $80,000. The third year we sponsored them, they raised $160,000. Right? So, and 60,000 of that 160 came from the media team. They raised 60 grand themselves, right? By selling these tickets. So they went to everybody else. The town is 5,500 people. Granted, there's a lot of bigger areas around there, you know, Idaho Falls is about 100,000 people, you know, so, but I do think there's a huge opportunity here and I'm really excited to see what we can do. And yeah, I'm creating a competition between this school district and that one. Because the rivalry was here before I got here and it's not gonna go away. I know that for sure. So, you know, but I'm excited to see what the two school districts can raise between North Bend and Marshfield. And the car is gonna be wrapped with the logos on it. And one side is Marshfield, one side is North Bend. And we'll have it at every event that we sponsor. And I encourage you guys to have any school clubs or anything like that at the events that you guys are involved in so that the kids can be there to sell tickets. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what it looks like and we'll continue to do this going forward if it works out the way that everybody wants it to. But we've done it for many years in the dealership that I came from and it worked out really well, very well. And we'll give it away at the halftime game at the rivalry game. Between North Bend and Marshfield, we'll give it away at halftime and announce the winner there. And there's other logistics involved too that you guys can ask about if we need to, but I just wanted to come here and tell you guys, I'm excited to be able to give back to the community that welcomed me in with open arms. And, you know, Guy and Lee Hawthorne retired and I got the opportunity to buy a Toyota store in Coos Bay, Oregon. And I even put your guys's, I don't know, oh yeah, I do. I even put the North Bend Bridge on my logo. Well, my wife did, just to accommodate to both, right? To both cities, right? Just, you know, I did Coos Bay Toyota, but I sponsor North Bend and I live in North Bend too, just so you guys know. So, all right. Is there any questions you guys have for me about all this? $10 a ticket. Yeah. So, yeah, $10 a ticket. You can buy as many tickets as you want. I've already dropped the tickets off at both high schools. We're working our way through the accounting side of it. There's a few things with ticket sales, raffle ticket sales that we're trying to work out right now. So, but we'll get it figured out. I'm even willing to sponsor the money out of my own pocket to get the added benefit so that North Bend can do their side of it as well. So, yeah.
Vehicle should be down at Coos Bay Toyota by Saturday. If you guys want to come and take pictures of it, whatnot. It looks great. I saw it, we're wrapped today. So it is.
It's the original color is white, but it's got the school colors. It looks really cool. Like I said, one side of it split right down the middle is Marshfield. One side split down the middle is North Bend. And that car will be driven by athletic directors, anything else around the town as needed. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, and I wanted to just come and talk about it because I wanted you guys to know the representation of what the whole program looks like. And like I said, I'm willing to answer questions. I have my business cards on me and with my cell phone on them. You can call me and ask me questions as needed. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know. Yeah.
Thank you for your generosity. Just whatever happened to Gracie the dog? Is she still down there or what? She go to a better place?
Gracie one passed away.
Oh, okay.
Prior to the buy sell.
Yeah.
And Ducey, or Gracie 2, is still with Guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Gracie too, I know. And Guy's my neighbor. I actually had lunch with him today too. So, and I know he's in this community for a long time and I'd love to continue his long standing relationship with both communities and go a long way. Right. So any other questions you guys have? I was just here to answer questions, tell you guys about what the program looks like and go from there. No,
We're good.
thank you guys.
Thank you
so
much, guys.
I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
the
Thank you, guys.
Okay, agenda item 5A, board reports and communication. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, I belong to the Coos Bay Garden Club, and every year they give away a $1,000 scholarship, and this year the scholarship was awarded to Brody Wilson. And he is here, and I wanted the board to say hi to him. Last year it was Marshfield, this year it's North End, so. I don't know if you have any questions for him, or if you want to know where he's going to school, or.
I heard you're going to Oregon State.
I am, yeah.
Good choice. I've sent a lot of money there. So. Good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We're very proud of you.
So I have a question. So, Brody, you had to do, you had to just have an essay, or what was the process? And if you had to do an essay, what did you talk about?
I just talked about my coastal ecology class, how it really inspired me to want to continue pursuing working in the science field.
Sweet. Very good. Thank you.
And maybe teaching. Maybe you'll come back here one day. Well, thank you for coming. We just wanted to honor you. Thank you so much. Congratulations. You can stay for the rest of the meeting, or you're free to go. Thank you.
Okay, next up, 5B, student representatives to the board, high school representatives, Taylor, Thompson, and Sophia.
Out of there.
Great.
We're back.
Great.
Another month, another day. Oh, I'm tired. Okay, well, give me a second. I gotta pull up these announcements.
I guess I'll go first then while he's pulling that up. The spring sports season is winding down. Our baseball and softball teams play Marshfield this week and will play Cottage Grove next Monday to end the regular season. Currently, our softball team is in second place and our baseball team is in third place.
The North Bend High School Choir will be at State tomorrow in Corvallis.
The band will be playing at State next Friday in Corvallis, both of them except to put on a good showing. Our band will be defending their state championship. Good luck to both programs.
Student elections are starting next week. We had an informational meeting today. Our ASB officers will be selected next week and our student council members will be selected the following week.
The district track meet is being held at North Bend High School next Friday and Saturday. Workers are still needed in a lot of events. If you're available and would like to help, please contact Jake Smith.
This past week, we held our high school all awards in the gymnasium. This is a chance for all teachers to celebrate the academic success of their students and classes. We handed out over 250 certificates to many outstanding students in our school.
On May 10th, many of our freshman and senior language arts students will be traveling to Ashland to attend a play at the Shakespearean Festival. We have had students doing this for a number of years and it's always a great time for those students that get to be involved.
Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my place. Earlier this week, we had our incoming freshman day. During the day, current 8th grade students came over to the high school for a tour. And then that evening, their parents came over while students signed up for activities next year, and parents got to hear from the administration and several other programs about the opportunities their students will have at the high school level. That orientation went very, very successful. Most students I talked with, because I had to go speak there on behalf of the ASB and Student Council, were excited to go to high school, to see all the opportunities and the clubs and the different things that they were able to venture into going into high school, and also the familiarity that they're able to be oriented with, and also just not be kind of thrown in there, kind of just, be able to get a feel of what high school is like. I talked with a few of them and they thought it was very good. My little sister's also going to be a freshman next year. Yeah, I'm freaking out too, don't worry. I gotta be in school with her once again. I gotta be able to breathe. But either way, I talked with her and she said she's excited and she appreciated that orientation. So that was pretty good.
It's a great group of kids that we're gonna have coming in.
Do you guys still, what's that called? Isn't there where you're assigned a person and there was a t-shirt, saving the world one freshman at a time, something like that? Is that still around?
I just
We
not.
have something at like the beginning of the year
That's probably, that may be.
Oh, yeah.
that they have. I don't know what it's called. What it's,
We do that first day of the year.
yeah.
Yeah, just
Okay.
freshman only day. We don't say one, not saying one freshman at a time.
They just have all the freshmen come the first day to get a feel of the
Bulldog day.
there, yeah.
Bulldog game.
And then they have some of the upperclassmen that will show them around.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, usually we have like student council or volunteers.
And that's
come
what
in
we
and help.
did, just this, I think it was this week, but that's what we just did. We, when we had the eighth graders come over, we just basically give them a fun tour of the, school. It was, Mr. Cinco's class that came over.
And then we'll do that like one more time. at the beginning of
Yeah,
the
we're
year.
gonna do that one more time in the beginning of the year.
It's fun. I remember our freshmen when we did it. Flower baskets are still on sale through the senior parent committee. Baskets are $35 each and can be purchased by contacting the high school or a parent on the senior parent committee.
We just had our prom last Saturday. Very, 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 very good prom. The music was amazing. The decor that we had there was absolutely beautiful, and just we had our dance floor, and then we had pictures on the side. We had this entire table full of all these exotic fruits. There was raspberries, guys. I was eating raspberries at prom. I don't know about you, but I don't get raspberries
I
very
didn't even
often.
see the food table. I walked in.
No, I know.
I walked in 5 minutes after it started, and I was like, "Where'd all the food go?"
And so there was raspberries. I was eating the raspberries, and they had like a whole like a charcuterie board, is that what you guys
Yeah,
call it?
yeah.
Yeah, like a whole charcuterie board, except like crazy. So it was all across the table. All these nice decorated tables all across on the right side. And then we had photos and we had water in the corner. Then once you go outside, we had a police vehicle out there where a bunch of students, including me, went and took photos with the lights on and everything. We had cornhole out there, and just there was like 2 heat lamps, which is a bunch of sitting area, like a sitting area where people can just, talk and everything. Either way, it was a very,
It was amazing. And also Real Deals was amazing. They let us borrow some of their stuff from their store, and they were just like, "Don't take the tags off." And everything was amazing. It was perfect.
yeah. Okay. My joke of the month. Where do polar bears keep their money? In a snowbank. Thank you, guys.
Taylor.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, 5C Association reports, North Bend Education Association report.
Hi, Eva Vargas sick. So
Christina
she,
Garvin.
yes, you remembered. And when Matt was in it, it was called Link Crew. That's what you're
That's it.
thinking
Thank
of.
you. That was it. That was.
That's okay. I'm Christina Geierman. I teach science at the high school, and I'm a building rep for the high school. And so far this past month, each school has been really focused on state testing for the last few weeks. It's a very time-consuming process to ensure that all the students have the time that they need to complete the many assessments required by the state. And we'd like to thank, the testing coordinators and the administrators, because there's a lot of moving parts. It was very well done, and yeah, we do it every year. Sorry, I got this about an hour ago. Do my best. Okay. Hillcrest PTA coordinated a successful book fair and silent auction. And next week on May 9th, Doc Coiner is coming from SWAC with the NASA Solar System Ambassadors. And that has some former North Bend students. They're going to host a planetarium after school. They have an inflatable one. It's so cool. Haven't been in it yet, but it's cool. Families are also beginning to think about next year's school year, as they've been given a placement form to provide staff with information about their child to help with classroom placements. At North Bay, Dr. Daryl Thomas from WU came with his Illuma Dance troupe. They do, they're a dance troupe, but they do programming and make flashing lights on their costumes. So at one point they were flowers, at one point they were a snake. It was really cool. And the kids got to go and do workshops and learn how the coding part worked. So that was pretty awesome. Some students have been trying out the interim state assessments to give the kids a way to practice on the state test before they take them. And they're considering using them as work samples because they make the scoring a little bit easier and that sort of thing. At the middle school, track and field is a very popular after-school offering. The 6th graders are looking forward to attending the outdoor school in June. And the teachers are excited because there's a referral threshold where if the students get written up too many times, the kids don't get to go. So it's inspiring some better behavior in the students. At the high school, I know everybody's been talking about prom. Prom was a very big deal. It had a great turnout. The event coordinators and the students involved in planning were amazing, both before and after, from cleanup to setup. But the high school the staff's a little bit nervous, as we know, as you guys know, there were declining enrollments leading to some restructuring, and we're just starting to get like what our schedule is going to be next year as like the final draft. So there's a few growing pains there, and there's some worries about the bridges and the alternative education pathway being reduced. And now I get to do the extra mile. We're on slide 9. Okay. All right, I got this. I think this is really cool, and I'm so glad that Eva's doing this, because there are so many awesome people I get to work with, and it's great that we get to do a shout out for folks. Okay, so the first person was recommended by Heather Fleming, and this is Hope Huntley. Hope is always heading up staff appreciation or holiday activities. She goes above and beyond to take care of her coworkers to ensure that North Bay is a great place to work. Next slide, please. Deidre Traylor nominated Natalie Horning Edgar. Natalie goes above and beyond as a mentor and for the 3rd grade team. She regularly shares resources and ideas with us that add so much to our curriculum. Her experience and willingness to share is invaluable. The next one is from Brady Lieb, and it's Rhiannon Metz. Rhiannon has worked very closely with me for many years. She is always willing to go out of her way to help others. She consistently stays late to ensure that her work gets done because she's running around the school all day putting out fires. She is admirable and an exceptional educator. She cares about her students and will provide support where it is needed. Woodland Hood, this is a shout out from Jackie Gooch. She says, when I began working at North Bend School District, there wasn't much orientation, maybe because I had 11 years of teaching experience. I didn't know much about the district or school and policies. Woodland was so kind and patient with me, and I'll love her forever. Today I know my way around, but I still bounce things off Mrs. Hood as she is such a calming presence. She's never let me down when exploring other options for a student and suggesting different ways to try things out. Next slide, please. Bristol. Bristol is the science teacher at Bridges, and she was nominated by Julie Entz. In addition to planning engaging lessons daily for many of our highest risk youth, Bristol goes out of her way to recognize and support students' emotional needs. She does daily check-ins with students, and when she notices a difference in affect, she will bring that to the attention of the appropriate staff, as well as check in with the student personally. She also brings in the best and largest pan of brownies at the end of each microterm to share with the students as a reward for their work. Nice. Didn't know about the brownies. And then here's an anonymous one for Amanda Valgrino Gall. Amanda was one, she has been like the party planner for the high school for the last year. She organizes spectacular assemblies and really helps Chris in building a sense of community. She organized the prom at the Bristol Event Center. This involved coordinating students to decorate before the festivities as well as to clean up after. Everyone involved was helpful, and she did an amazing job putting everything together for the kids. It really was an enchanted evening. And the last one, when I found out I got to talk, I decided to nominate Melissa because she is amazing. She runs the Bulldog Brew, which is this thing we have in the high school where the kids who are on 504 plans or IEPs get to practice being a barista and they take phone orders. And it's really cool each year to see how they grow under her tutelage. She also runs, she's our youth transition program specialist, and she runs the Bulldog Youth Food Pantry. So she's helped a lot of kids who were having a hard time find food, find resources in the community. And there's many teachers, like when I found out after school that I was giving this report, I'm like, I can nominate someone. Who should I nominate? And like Frank Murphy is like, you got to nominate Melissa. She's amazing. All right. And I think that's all. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Just one thing, Christina, thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the state testing. So
Yes.
as I've said before, whether teachers remember or not, and the administrators, you are only limited by your imagination on how to encourage attendance and people or participation taking the state testing.
I gave out suckers. I did the juniors. I don't know if that's even okay, but they're like, when we were kids,
Sure.
we used to get suckers and nobody would give us any.
Sure.
So they're like, it's blow pops. I'm in. All right. Yeah, it works. They don't get anything. I hope. We'll find out soon.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, 5D food service update, Amy Molt.
Hello, for those that don't know me, I'm Amy Molt. I'm the food service supervisor. And the most exciting thing that I have to say is we won a very large grant and it paid off all of the lunch debt for all of our high school students. And since last year, we received an anonymous donation that paid off the elementaries and the middle school. We are predominantly debt-free for the entire district. And since all of our schools are now CEP, which means all of the kids eat for free for breakfast and for lunch, they will not be accruing any more of that debt. So that's really, really exciting for us because we no longer have to make families worry about that other hang up that they might have. We have seen a big growth in all of our breakfast and lunch programs across the board from CEP. Breakfast is climbing a little bit slower than lunch, but especially at the high school, lunch has really exploded for once we went to all free for them. We also have tomorrow, which is our Lunch Hero Day. Every year, the first Friday in May is Lunch Hero Day, which is a national recognition for school cafeteria workers. So thank you, cafeteria workers, tomorrow. And other than that, life's been pretty good in food service. Any questions for me?
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment about the ZZ presentation. When they were there, Michelle had a lot of fun.
She did have a lot of fun.
One of the comments that I heard that I thought was, and we've already heard it tonight, was how respectful the high school kids were.
Yes.
They, the group made several comments about that, so.
Yeah.
That's really nice to hear.
And they also followed that up with an email when they got back. They reiterated again how incredibly respectful that our high school students were. And that it was out of all the years of visiting schools, that was the most respectful high school they have ever attended an event at. So,
Nice. Wow.
yeah, which is really, really big.
If I may add something before Amy moves to the table. She walked in one day and said, hey, guess what? You can't tell anybody yet, but we've received this grant. What she didn't tell me was that she wrote a grant, right? So she did that on her own, and wrote a competitive grant. I think the folks said there were 38 states that had people who wrote grants. The total amount of money that was requested in the grants were $2 million or something like that.
It was
If you
just
add up
shy of 2 million.
all of the grants that were written across the nation. And three schools were selected, right? And so Amy shared with me a little bit about some of the things that she wrote in the grant. She essentially told stories about issues and situations that our kids faced. And so we can't fail to recognize that, Amy, you hit a home run. And this is really special. It's a special thing. And you took it on and you just did it on your own. And you hit a home run. So I just want to publicly give a huge shout out to Amy for your work and for the work with that grant.
Thank you. It was 204 applications in 36 states.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Can you say the number again, just because it's impressive?
It was $15,790.91.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank
you.
And our kids got snacks. And debt-free.
For a while.
Yes.
Slowly.
Okay, 5E superintendent report, Vince Swagger.
All right. I will share a couple things on this. It's been pretty busy. And then there I was, I need to do a superintendent report. So So I didn't get it to you early in the middle last week, like I would typically do. Speaking of another shout out, Stronger Connections Grant, as you know, we've mentioned that before. Dana took the lead on writing the Stronger Connections Grant with support from the cabinet and others. It was funded. Not every grant was funded. In fact, there were very few, very competitive grant. Counterparts across southern, south, the ESD region, all of the superintendents are on text with each other. And I started getting these, don't suppose any of you got your grant funded on the Stronger Connections, and well, I didn't, I wasn't lucky enough, and pretty soon I kind of threw in sort of a, yeah, North Bend did. We didn't say how much, we just like, yeah, we got our, but $601,000 over a biennium. So as I mentioned in the board report, I had a meeting last week with the captain and the chief, and we've set in motion the second SRO. So we will have one in place as soon as we can next year. Okay, whatever that timeline looks like. Essentially, they need to hire somebody into the department that would replace whomever gets assigned to the SRO, right? So they won't give us an SRO until they backfill that person who's in patrol. And so they are hopeful that they can do that fairly quickly. What they're hoping for is somebody who wants to do a lateral move between departments. And one of the reasons why they're hopeful about that, and I want to commend them, is that that right now, North Bend Police Department seems to have a lot of stability internally and externally. And so the leadership in the department is such that people from other departments are wanting to come here. And that's a good sign. That's an indication of good leadership. So there is the potential that they could find someone sooner than later. And we could start with a second SRO sooner than the worst case scenario, which would be a year out. So I'm not sure we'll have somebody in the books next September, but we're hoping that sometime in the months after that, that we'll have somebody in place. Okay. I went to an off the record meeting. I say that on numerous occasions. Those are meetings, sometimes Zoom, sometimes in person, in which superintendents from all over the state gather, and we learn about what's going on in the state, have an opportunity to discuss issues. This one in particular was important because we're starting the process. The Coalition of Oregon School Administrators are starting the process of deciding what kind of agenda that they want our lobbyists to support and take to the Capitol. And so, so I took what conversation we had on Thursday last Thursday, when we talked with Representative Wright, and I thank you for that, by the way. That was it was a great meeting. But we're taking that information, moving it forward to that coastal level. Had a chance to do some small groups and roundtables and filter that up. I'm also offering to be on one of two different committees. One committee is essentially focused on finance and school finance and some of the things to try to for obvious reasons, have better, more money and stable money, right? Adequate and stable funding. The other group focused on issues with students themselves, everything from chronic absenteeism to social emotional issues, post-pandemic to how to support kids. And I'm not worried about which one of those committees I want to be on. I can speak to both of those topics, but it'll give me an opportunity if they select me to be on one or both to have some influence through COSA to try to impact what's happening in the legislature and work that way. So that's an effort of mine. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. I want to mention, mark your calendar, June 7th. June 7th is graduation. So, I say I'm really excited about graduation this year. We just had baseball senior night. So spring sports senior nights are happening and Nathan softball's tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, so it's that time of year. And a year ago, I attended graduation as the person who had been selected, but I was here and I sat as far away from the stage as I could, up on the far right side, because I didn't want to be distracting to anybody. And this year I get to sit on the stage and I'm really excited about it. So I hope you join. Sports, oh my goodness, last night. So typical Hidden Valley comes over. Great to have them here. Chris always likes to have Hidden Valley come over here and beat them up in sports because that's his old school. And so they came over. Softball had a great night, 6-2. So then the game's over. I wander over to the baseball side to catch the end of the game. It's 3-3 in the top of the 7th, and then it's 3-3 in the top of the 8th, and then it's 3-3 at the top of the 9th and the 10th. And then top of the 11th, it's still 3-3. And then in the bottom of the 11th, we finally scored a run, and that game went about almost 3.5 hours. So that was a lot of fun. And then today they had a doubleheader with Marshfield. So in game 1 that I was at, I was helping in the concession stand. We won 2-1. So that was good. And so they're playing right now in game 2. So yeah, a lot of fun over there. And so like I mentioned, tomorrow the girls are having their last, this really officially not their last home game. It was the last originally scheduled home game, but they had a rain out with Cottage Grove, who's going to come back over here next week and play. So, but it is their senior. Track will be happening. You heard about us hosting the district track the week afterwards. It'll be state track. And so that'll be over at Hayward Field in Eugene. And then of course, golf and tennis are finishing their seasons too. So we're at that time. I want to give you a little bit of an update on vape sensors. We are in the process of installing them. We talked about this. We talked about it this year. I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, we're having some success. You would hope that you could put in a bunch of vape sensors and that they would be functioning properly, but not be needed. We're catching some kids. So just so you know that it's having an impact. And so what we, of course, the next thing we hope is that by knowing that they're there, we hope that it would raise awareness for students that they wouldn't bring or utilize vape products or smoking or anything else on campus. That if they feel like they have to do that, they'll find other places to do that besides school. So just giving you a heads up on that. And the last thing I want to say is that yesterday, there's a national day for all kinds of things. And yesterday was a national day to honor principals. And so I would like to say thank you to the principals that we have here. And they're amazing folks and they do great work. And we're blessed to have the group that we have in our buildings. And they take on the hard issues. They do everything they can to make it work. And it's and I will say, as a person who's been a teacher, a principal, and a superintendent, I still think the most difficult job in the business is to be a principal. You're asked to solve every problem. Every problem comes to you. And you're supposed to have the skills, the abilities, the knowledge, and everything it takes to deal with every issue that happens in your building. And if it doesn't go right, it's on you. There's the kind of pressure that it takes to be a principal is tremendous. So we have 4 people who their heart and soul and everything they have into making it work for the building and making it work for kids. And so I just really appreciate it. Yeah. Here.
Yeah, along with the report, I'd like to recognize Dana Cahill for writing that grant that we were successful. So
Thank you very much.
it's a hallelujah moment.
And I'll say that it's absolutely a team effort. There's nothing that I do that isn't supported and backed. And so thank you so much. And yes, and we are so thrilled. We are all so thrilled. That was a very, very exciting news. So thank you very much, Jim.
Yeah, and because that was security and SRO was one of the 6 priority areas for the board to work on. So helping us get that one completed is a big deal. So thank you for that. Okay. Agenda item 6, action consent agenda items. Is there a motion to approve the action consent agenda items as presented? Okay, there is a motion and a second to approve the action consent agenda. Any discussion? I got one. I see that LaDonna Porter, 2nd grade Hillcrest, and Karen Farlow, 1st grade Hillcrest, will be retiring at the end of the school year, and I want to thank them for a race well run. And at least one of my kids had Mrs. Porter. She's a great teacher, so thank you for that career there. All right, so with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay? Okay, 6-0, Michelle. All right, next agenda item 7, National School Nurse Day Resolution. All right, let's get to that. Okay, I'm going to read the background, and when I finish reading, if one of the board members could read the text of the resolution, that would be just great. So let's see, the background. National School Nurse Day has been observed annually since 1972. In 2024, it will be observed on May 6th. National School Nurse Day was established to foster a better understanding of the role of school nurses in the educational setting. School nurses support students and student health every day of the year. On School Nurse Day, we take special time to celebrate and recognize the contributions that our school nurses are making to the health and learning of our nation's 50 million children. Have I got a board member who can read the text of that resolution?
I'll go ahead.
Thanks, Nick.
Whereas children are the future, and by investing in them, we are ensuring our world for tomorrow. And whereas all students have a right to have their health needs safely met while in the school setting. And whereas children today face more complex and life-threatening health problems requiring care at school. And whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and ensuring students' academic success for more than 100 years. And whereas school nurses are professional nurses that advance the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievements of all students by serving on the front lines and providing a critical safety net for our nation's most fragile children. And whereas school nurses act as a liaison to the school community, parents, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our community's children. And whereas school nurses are members of school-based mental health teams, and whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make a positive difference for children every day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the North Bend School District Board of Directors celebrates and acknowledges the accomplishments of school nurses everywhere and their efforts to meet the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of healthcare in our schools, and offers gratitude to school nurses who contribute to our community by helping students stay healthy in school and ready to learn, and keeping parents and guardians at work, not just on this National School Nurse Day, but at every opportunity throughout the year. Be it further resolved that the North Bend School District Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join with it in personally expressing appreciation to our school nurses for their dedication and devotion to their work, and proclaims May 11th, 2024, not 22, National School Nurse Day, adopted this day of May 2024. Action requested is
Yeah, approval of resolution 2024-03 to proclaim May 6th, 2024 as National School Nurse Day for the North Bend School District. And I'll make a motion. I move to approve resolution 2024-03 as set forth above. Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
6-0. Thanks for reading that, Nate. Sure. Okay, another chance for a board member to read coming up here. Agenda item 8, Teacher Appreciation Week resolution. Okay, that's resolution 2024-04, certified employee recognition. I'll give the background. Teacher Appreciation Week is celebrated every year during the first full week of May. In 2024, it will be observed May 6th through May 10th. The North Bend School District currently employs 131 certified employees. Our educators play a pivotal role in our students' lives, inspiring a lifelong love of learning and discovery and making a difference in their well-being and long-term success. The work they do and the skills they bring to the North Bend School District is immeasurable. With that, we got someone who can read the text.
I will.
Thank you.
Text of resolution 2024-04. Whereas teachers mold future citizens through guidance and education. And whereas teachers encounter students of widely differing backgrounds. And whereas our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students. And whereas teachers spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling and coaching students, and performing community service. And whereas our community recognizes and supports its teachers in educating the children of this community. Now therefore be it resolved that the North Bend School District Board of Directors proclaims May 6th through 10th, 2024 to be Teacher Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the North Bend School District Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join with it in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion to their work. Adopted this second day of May 2024.
Okay, action requested approval of resolution 2024-04 to proclaim May 6th through 10th, 2024 as Teacher Appreciation Week for the North Bend School District. And I'll read the motion. I move to approve resolution 2024-04 as set forth above. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024-04 as set forth above. Any discussion? Okay, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 6-0. Okay. Agenda item 9, approval of the 2025-2026 North Bend School District calendar. Who's got that one? Anyone?
I've just, the calendar committee met, and recommended this calendar. This calendar is essentially moving forward the calendar that you've already, approved for 24-25, that's next year. So this is the 25-26. So there wasn't any fundamental shift in philosophy, except for you will notice that I believe it was another year that it made sense to not have any classes the week of Thanksgiving. But from next year's calendar, the year after, this gives us the opportunity to have a 2-year calendar in place. And so, which is a pattern that the districts had for a period of time that we lost fairly recently, where we're, approving the next year. So this is nice for us to have a 2-year look. And so recommended you do approve this calendar. And thanks to Mary for foreseeing. We have all kinds of eyes on this. There's a committee that actually looks at it. And of course, we put it in the packet and Mary says, I think that's a Saturday. So we go back and take a look. Sure enough, it was a Saturday. And so thank you, Mary, for being diligent. And looking at it. So I do recommend that we pass this calendar for 25-26.
Good catch. I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
For it's the 13E, it's in February, the no school weather makeup day.
Right.
How does that work? If we just have one weather day, do we use this, or is there a certain amount of days of weather before we use this extra day, or how does that work?
The way when I say it's up to you, literally and legally and legitimately, it's up to you.
Okay.
We have enough days and hours built into the system and to the calendar that if we were to have an inclement weather day, we probably wouldn't have to make that one up. However, if the board, if your pleasure is to make up even one, then that's where we would put it. And sometimes boards will say, how many days do we have before we hit that threshold? And then we're essentially forced to start making them up because, you know, we have to meet our Division 22 standard for the number of hours. Our board in Mitchell, in 5 years there, as much snow as we get over there, in 5 years, we only had one snow day. They made it up, even though there was one, and we had plenty of hours because that they're a 4-day week and they have 150 times they have a chance to have time with kids, and so they didn't want to give one of those up. So really it depends on you and what your philosophy is and how it fits. Most boards in 5 days school weeks, most districts don't choose to make up the first one if there's just one. Of course, we were fortunate this year, we made it through a year without any, unless some sort of weird flood thing or something, or a windstorm happens and power. I mean, I just said we're not going to have any. I would knock on it somewhere because sure enough, something's going to happen. But we've had a fortunate winter this winter, so it's really kind of up to you how that works.
Okay, with that, I'll read the motion. I move to approve the 2025-26 district calendar as presented. And I move to approve the 2025-26 board selected holidays as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and the motion is I move to approve the 2026 district calendar as presented, and I move to approve the 2025-26 board selected holidays as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 6-0, agenda item 10, public hearing, Title 6, Indian Education. Dana Cahill.
Dana Cahill in the flesh. Thank you for having me. Jim, I'm so sorry. Do I talk about this first and then you open the public?
I think that's the way we've done it in the past.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll proceed. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, I'd like to give you an Indian education update. Our Indian education program starts with a federal grant, and our federal grant for 23-24 this school year was $21,428. We primarily use.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Is the microphone picking her up?
Do I need to speak louder?
I don't know. I just know that this is recorded, that I think people can hear you, and I don't know. They can hear her?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I apologize.
Julie, but I'm happy to speak louder. It feels very loud in where I'm at, but I'm happy to do that. Yeah, and you know that I can, so yes. Okay.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, please, no problem. Well, we primarily use this funding towards a partial salary of a person who provides attendance services, some academic supports, and some cultural opportunities for students as well. We use these grant funds in conjunction with our tribal attendance promising practice grant as well, because there's sort of natural overlap in what both of those grants are looking to achieve. As you know, we have through our TAP grant, TAP standing for the Tribal Attendance Promising Practices Grant, we had funded an attendance advocate.
that had been a classified position. We've moved that role to a certified position, and I'm happy to let you know that we have Ruth Ellen Melton, a longstanding certified teacher in our district that will be starting in that role next year. So I do anticipate that she is going to be another driving force in our Indian education program as she comes on as well. Next week, on Tuesday, May 7th, we have our annual Indian Education Parent Meeting at the Hall of Champions from 6 to 7. This is an additional opportunity for families to provide feedback to our district on our Indian education programming, to communicate their needs, and also aspirations for our Indian education program. And at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions, I think.
Well, here's what I'll say. If we do have anybody either watching or if somebody goes to watch this later, my name is Dana Cahill. I work at the district office. So if you do have any insight or input and you would like to contact me, please do that.
Good.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move chairs and let Bruce come up also.
So at this point, we're ready to 10A, open the public hearing on Title VI Indian Education. That hearing is now open. Are there any public comments and questions? Everyone's looking at their feet, so I'll say, looks like there's no public comments or questions. Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing. And we will move on to agenda item 11, K-5 math curriculum adoption. Bruce and Dana.
All right, fantastic. Tonight we get to bring to you a recommendation for a K-5 math curriculum adoption. I know Dana talked last month about some of the processes we'd gone through in preparing for that adoption and the input that teachers had in that and reviewing curriculums. So just a reminder, there were 5 state-approved curriculums we looked at. Many of the curriculums are very similar and the same components. They all align to the state standards out there. But there are slight differences amongst them as you take a look at them in there. We have selected Oregon Math Big Ideas in there. Our teachers have selected that and we support their recommendation moving forward in there. There were several factors that led them down that pathway. Of course, alignment with the standards was a given. They all have to meet that going through. But I think the scope and sequence and the way the standards were presented in there developmentally made a lot of sense and filled some voids that we found in our last curriculum in there. Each publisher can package those standards in any way they want. And I think developmentally, I know that our teachers felt that the Big Ideas was, the Oregon Math Big Ideas was a great way to present the materials in there. One of the main things we look for is high quality print and digital materials in there. Just to give you an idea of what's going to be put in the hands of students. Each student gets a textbook. They're consumable textbooks within math. They get 2 of them actually, a 1 and a 2. You can imagine if they were put together, they'd be huge in there. So they each get a textbook, kindergarten through 5th grade in there, a little different size for each grade. This happens to be a 4th grade. I know some of you were in and had a chance to review the materials in there. There's a volume 1 and a volume 2 to that. They also get in 3rd through 5th grade a test prep workbook in there that they will use in the classroom as well. In K through 2, they just get a practice workbook in there. The test prep workbook aligns a lot with the Smarter Balance assessments and the state standards in there. Those are the actual hard copy items that they get for use within the classroom. There is also a great deal of online access and supports that are both used in the classroom by teachers and students. And then there's the ability to have that online at home component as well. They can access the textbook, they can access videos on instructional methodology from home, they can access a wide variety of resources in there. There's some practice activities. There's some game formats presenting some rudimentary type of things that you're going to learn and fluency type of activities. There's just a wide variety of resources available, and all publishers offer those type of resources available. One of the things that we really liked about this was the fact that it offers some family support within the textbook, the consumable item in there. And if students cannot access a computer, our parents cannot access a computer, oftentimes it's been a while since they've been through some of those processes, and some of them, you know, they look at the skills that they're asked to do in there and they say, well, I'm not quite sure what they're asking for here. In these workbooks, every learning target that's in there has a QR code associated with it. And now all it takes is a smartphone, you scan that QR code, and well, you can see that at the high school basketball game. When you're at the high school basketball game, you basically could watch a little mini lesson on what that activity is, and then be able to support your child as well. So wherever you are, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do it very quickly as you go
I
through.
tried it when I was in there.
Oh, you
to
did?
see
Pretty
what
nice,
was in
isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty easy. And it doesn't, you don't have to do anything special. It just automatically comes
It's
up
pretty cool.
and you're available. Now,
And parents need this because I think I was talking to Dana about
Yes,
it.
you were.
This is, you know, with, what is it called, the Common Core,
Yeah.
we did not grow up with that. And so even though it's math that is easy, we don't know how they can get the answer correct. And so having that. is
of course, it is. It does help a whole bunch. And that's one method to do it. The online resources that you get if you have a computer and can log in are even much more expanded than that. But to be able to provide that so that wherever you're at, you can give that feedback and support to your student is nice to have in there. And that's something that we wanted to ensure that the materials we were looking at had. This was not the only company that had that, but they definitely had that component in there as we move forward. You know, one of the things that really, you know, we went through and teachers went through, reviewed the materials. Once they reviewed it, they had a set of criteria. They listed pros and cons of it. And when we got done, they voted and kind of said, this is my number one curriculum, this is my number two curriculum. And when we did that, you know, and I've been involved in a lot of textbook adoptions, and elementary is the hardest one to do because you got a bunch of people and a wide range of abilities. You can never get them to agree on that. We had over 75% of our staff agree right out of the chute that Oregon Math Big Ideas was the curriculum that they wanted to have. So that was their number one choice. And then we had a variety of number two choices, and then one was supported a little more than the rest. So we said, we're going to bring the publisher in. They're going to give a little preview of it. When we did that, they got done, that number of 75% even grew even higher. I think we're over 80 some percent when we got done that said that's our first choice. We found you're never going to get them all to agree, but to have that high of a percentage picking this as their first choice was, you know, pretty amazing. Even beyond that, if it wasn't their first choice, with all but one exception, I think it was their second choice in there. So it was pretty well represented and supported by teachers moving forward. We did offer it up for public review in there. We sent out emails to all the elementary parents in there, so they had a chance to come in and look at it. Posted it on the web pages. We got a few people to come in. We had board members come in. I know Michelle was in there. I think some others looked at some of the components and curriculum in there. Heard nothing but positive things about it. Didn't hear any, you know, complaints about it. Had some questions, and then we tried to answer the questions related to it as well. One of the things that we're excited about on this is that we're gonna be able to adopt a curriculum early enough and be able to present an in-service to staff members this year on the curriculum. One of the problems is oftentimes you go adopt a curriculum and you say, okay, come back to school, we're going to present you an in-service on that curriculum. Well, guess what everybody in the whole nation wants at that time when they're adopting math? They want those same presenters to come in at the beginning of school year and present it. So we're going to go outside the box, and we've already talked to the publisher. They're going to give us their best folks because they're not real busy right now. And they're going to come in the next couple of weeks, and they're going to do a pending approval, of course, next couple of weeks, and do an in-service on this curriculum. So our staff will go into the summer, having seen the curriculum, have the materials in their hands. So they will have it when they come back at the beginning of the year next year. They're not going to be waiting for that in-service before they start planning their curriculum out. They'll be able to come in, and then when they get to school, have a little bit of free time in their classrooms, they'll be able to start the planning as they go through that process. For those folks that we haven't hired yet, and there'll be a few of those, we're going to offer additional time at the beginning of the year before we come back for in-service. New teachers come back 2 days early. We've already got planned out and selected that Friday of that in-service week that will offer a follow-up session for new folks, people that change grade levels, or folks that just would like to have additional information in there. So we're gonna hit the ground running with this. We'll be prepared. And then when they get back in, meeting in their PLC teams, they'll be ready to start the planning and implementation and won't have that on the beginning of the year plate. So we're excited about that. Questions about the curriculum? Anything? Dana, you want to add anything?
There is something I would like to add. When we add, if our board this evening moves to adopt this curriculum, this would actually be a K-12 alignment in math. And that I have not seen that in my time, and I don't know.
I have not seen a K-12 curriculum that we've picked in a subject area the entire time I've been here. There's always been an elementary curriculum, maybe a middle school, high school curriculum, or maybe an elementary, middle school, but never a K-12 curriculum that I can remember.
Yeah, that was just another piece of information that I wanted to make sure that was evident to people, because we will have that alignment. We have educators in our district that are already teaching these big ideas in grades 6 through 12. And so we have them as resource also to help sort of navigate the curriculum as we adopt at the K-5 level.
If you remember when we adopt a reading curriculum or an ELA curriculum, we did a pilot. Pilots take a lot of effort, a lot of resources in there. We opted not to do a pilot on this one. Instead, we did sections of the units or lessons in there that were implemented. And it was much easier for teachers. And then we didn't have to focus their time and effort on that piloting a program. And I think we got the same results or similar results as we did that. It was a hard decision. When you look at the curriculums, from our standpoint, sitting there, because they all meet the standards as you come in. It's really looking at how they package it, some of the supplemental resources in there and access for kids as you go forward. With that, any other questions that we can answer?
No, a good idea, thinking of taking them and have training before the mass rush on wanting to do that. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find out how it works. We'll report back to you and let you know.
We sure will.
Sure, great.
Any more questions for Bruce and Dana? Okay, with that, I think we're good on that, and I guess I'll read the motion. I move to approve the adoption of Oregon Math Big Ideas Learning for grades K through 5.
I'll second that.
So there's a motion and a second. I move, and the motion is I move to approve the adoption of Oregon Math Big Ideas Learning for grades K through 5. Any further discussion by the board? Okay, with that, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Agenda item 12, ESSER 3 bathroom capital tag. Tim Kreider.
Hello. So this agenda item is for action on utilizing ESSER dollars to help remodel the high school restrooms, which is part of our next agenda item. So when we want to use ESSER dollars for capital projects, we want to get a project tag from the Department of Education, and that requires board involvement and board approval. So for a project this size especially, we would want to run this through you. So utilizing some remaining ESSER funds, we would like to seek approval to apply for that project tab to move forward with the bathroom remodel project. Any questions on that?
Good idea. Sounds like, yeah. Is there any after, I mean, if this is for, is it 230,000?
Well, this was an estimate prior to receiving any bids. We would be using up to this amount out of ESSER if needed. So this would allow us a little bit of wiggle room there, if any necessary change orders came in, but we don't anticipate it being this high. So it just provides some freedom in our ESSER dollars as we're trying to utilize them all before they go away. And
essentially, you want to overestimate your cap request so that you don't have to come back later and say we can't spend it on that because we didn't put the target high enough.
So we're ready for the motion?
Yep.
Okay, I'll read the motion. I move to authorize the district to utilize utilize ESSER three funds to support the high school student restrooms not to exceed a total sum of $230,000. The motion, is there a second? Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second, and that is I move to authorize the district to utilize ESSER three funds to support the high school student restrooms not to exceed a total sum of $230,000. Any further discussion? Okay, with that, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
6-0. Okay, Tim, back to you.
All right, so on to the next agenda item, high school restroom remodel. So earlier in the school year, a leak in a sewer line under the high school main building was discovered. And we quickly learned that in order to access that sewer line, we would be tearing out not only carpet, but ripping through walls and actually cutting through concrete. So it was a rather large project just to repair that sewer line. At the same time, we started looking at the layout of the bathroom. So there was one single restroom bathroom in the main hallway of the main building of the high school. And then on the other side of it, there was one staff restroom, a small room, and then there's a little mail room. So these buildings were built a long time ago. So we were in ADA compliance regulations because of the time period of the buildings, but in reality, we had a need for upgrading restrooms. We also recognized that we needed to increase the number of restrooms, especially single-use restrooms. So we explored this a little bit further, involved our district architect, Joe Slack, in that, and he drew up some plans for kind of reusing that space. And we sent that out for bid, and we received the bids and opened those today. Vince and I did. We believe that this project will greatly increase the health and safety aspects around restroom use in the bathroom, as well as being 100% ADA compliant at this point. So we would be moving from one student single-use bathroom to 3, and then having a staff single-use bathroom as well. That would include all the different movement of plumbing lines and the flooring, and then replacing the carpet in the student services area. So this is something that we had talked to a few of you about, I think, previously, that we opened the bids closed today. So we went and opened them today, reviewed the bids. Both very acceptable bids. One of them, they both basically accomplished the same thing in the same amount of time. We wanted to try to get this to you tonight so that we could start the project as soon as possible, so that we can ensure it's done before students come back in the fall. So essentially, it came down to Tom Gajewski Construction for $189,999.
That was a little bit.
That was a little bit.
Good. Okay, any other discussion from the board or questions for Tim on this?
No, just thank you for all of your past work and getting this completed.
You bet. And like Dana mentioned earlier, it's always a team effort. We have maintenance involved, Vince is involved, we have Joe Slack, our architect, involved. Chris was an integral part of advocating for the additional bathrooms as well. So, yeah.
Do you happen to foresee any change orders that possibly?
It's so hard to say, but I believe that we're right within the ballpark. This is kind of what we were thinking ahead of time, and it's pretty comprehensive what his plans are. So I believe that this will.
If there is any, then you'd have to come back request additional authorizations.
Not necessarily. We could still use the ESSER money up to the 230. Yeah, and so.
Is there usually a percentage that's allowed for change orders? Typically, percent.
With this project, we're under really a limit requiring us to do that. We like to bring projects of this size to you anyways. Just so you have a voice in that. I mean,
Tom Gajewski bid for, I think it's $189,999.
I second.
I understand, but you're 99 cents.
We all had that same little chuckle when we opened the bid.
So there is a motion and a second to approve the Tom Gajewski response to the RFP in the amount of $189,999. Any further discussion? Okay, let's vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. I want to thank you guys on preloading the board on this and talking about it at a week ago when we met with Boomer. Appreciate that. And you guys have a high level of trust with the board, and we trust you guys on this. So
Just trying to make sure that the time frame that we approached to the high level of transparency, so that it just didn't look like we were trying to slip something by and give you as much time as possible, but yet try to keep the project on pace to be completely in the books by the time kids show back up. Thank you.
And we did talk about it today too. If something had come in that was odd or needed us to look closer at, we would have just pulled the agenda item. We wouldn't have brought it here today.
Yeah, we were fortunate that both of the bids, there was nothing in either one of the bids that caused us a great deal of concern. We were hoping it would be as straightforward as it was.
and this is also one of the board's 6 priority items. So that's another thing. Thank you for progressing. Appreciate it. Okay, I think next we have agenda item 14, OSEA Union Agreement 2024 to 2026.
Yes.
Tim Kreider again.
We engaged in union negotiations with our classified bargaining unit in February 13th. And we had 2 meetings. And that was with 3 local OSEA members. It was Marty, Danny, and Cassandra, our employees, and a small team of us, Vince, myself, and then I had an HR person, Michelle and Lorraine, our finance controller. And I would just like to say that Marty and I had discussions about this early in the year, that we just felt like approaching this from this angle just felt like it was a team effort, really, to address the needs of the union and improve working conditions is really what our goal was. And I felt like a very nice time doing it. I mean, it was a pleasure having Vince there as part of our team. He represented the district well, helped ensure a smooth negotiation process as well, which was very welcomed. And it just felt like we were all just in unison, working together to try to come to an agreement. So it was a very nice negotiation. So I appreciated that process. It went really well. And the union, after we had reached an agreement, voted on, they presented their union, they voted on it. I'd like to add that it was 100% yes by the classified union. So I think that speaks volumes about the process that was used as well. Some of the major things that we addressed is a COLA increase of 4% for 2024-25, and the 25-26. So this is a 2-year agreement. 25-26 is it's called a Me Too. In other words, that whatever the certified negotiates in 25-26, they would also be entitled to for that school year. And also 4% for 24-25 is also what we'll see our certified union receive as well moving into next school year. So it matched what they were receiving as well. We added some language around consecutive years of service and longevity so that it aligns with the step increases. There was some different language between when a person is hired and what counts towards a full year of service for longevity purposes. So in other words, if somebody had been hired September 5th and worked that whole year, they wouldn't count towards longevity until the next year. but the step increase would. So we made the language align. So really essentially, if you're hired before, I believe it was, January 1st, right? Yeah, then that counts as your first year because you're here a majority of the year. You're doing the work. We wanted to honor them for essentially taking a job with the district and felt that it should count towards a year of service. So we cleaned up that language a little bit. Life skills educational assistants will receive $150 a month stipend. This is a difficult position and it's so very important. And we really believe in supporting this group of people. And the previous agreement had $100 a month stipend. And then we had it was sort of the safety type of clause where if a student had caused severe injury to a staff member 2 times within a year period, it triggered a $2 hour increase for just the staff members working with that student. The more we talked about it, it was just, there were all these caveats to it and it wasn't really addressing everybody fairly. And then the language around what really constitutes severe injury, you know, where do we draw that line? And we just, again, both parties felt that let's just give everybody in that position $150 a month extra over what an EA in another position would make. And we also hope that that increases their longevity in those positions as well. This was another one that employees returning to a classified position will retain their seniority. They don't retain their seniority for bumping rights within the union. They retain their seniority for step and longevity. So in other words, we'll recognize the fact that if somebody is in the classified union for 5 years, 10 years, and steps out of it into a district position. So they move into a confidential position, or maybe they move into certified position and find that they would like to go back to the classified union. We wanted to respect their service in the district by ensuring that when they do return to the classified union, they still get the same step and pay for the years of service total. So, but it doesn't involve seniority or bumping rates. PERS retirees with 5 years in the district are eligible to stub at step 5 on the salary schedule. So previously, anybody who came back and subbed would substitute on the sub rate, which is 6% less than step 1 of whatever job that was. So as we know, substitutes are hard to find. And we also want to acknowledge the fact that our, most qualified subs are people who worked in these positions and retired from them. So anybody who spends the last 5 years in their career working for us and retires from PERS can now come back and substitute at step 5, which makes that a little more attractive. Again, acknowledging their experience and their commitment to the district. Insurance contribution increased by $50 a month. Sick leave bank. If an employee retires, so the sick leave bank is something an employee can access if they run out of their own sick leave, but it's something severe enough that the union feels like they'd like to give them additional days to help them out, then they've created this sick leave bank. Both unions have them. And oftentimes in the classified unit, that sick leave bank runs out early. So retiring employees who have unused sick leave can contribute up to 20 days of their sick leave to the bank when they retire. Also, we increased the member contribution to 10 days. It used to be 5. So if an employee was a member of the classified unit and wanted to donate all 10 of their days, they could do that. And that came up out of a couple situations where, people had wanted to donate at later in the year and they couldn't. So there's also a sentence in there that we can reopen the bank if needed. And then the maximum use limited to 330 days a year. It was 100. That's not per person. That's a total union bank usage. So just again, if 10 people were to use 10 days each, that would put an end to the bank usage that year. So we increased that cap.
Is there a limit for individual? That's the 330 total, but
I'd have to dig in here. We got,
For an individual to use this, a number of 16
Right.
days. I don't believe there's
No.
From the
a
bank.
specific limit. I do know that the administration of those days, kind of approval of the number of days actually comes as part of the bargaining.
Mhm.
They kind of decide.
yeah, it's their bank, so they have to apply to their union. Their union approves the usage. And then, of course, there's, like now there's the paid family medical leave, which they can also apply for. So then this could be used to kind of backfill the pay gaps in that. We did add language around paid family medical leave insurance, just to solidify that in the agreement. And added, and
Tim, the sick leave bank is, I think the limits are the same as the certified agreement, I believe, or very close.
for an individual usage.
Yeah, for individual and for the total number that can be built up, I think there was a small.
were matching.
A much smaller amount in
Mhm.
the classified group than we had in certified group, so those are much more.
25 days, so a 12-month employee. So this is only for 12-month employees who works 21 plus years in the district now can have 25 days vacation assigned to them, given to them. Up from, it was capped out at 20 before. So again, very small number of employees, but again, we want to honor their years of service and keep them as long as we can, because they're usually our most experienced who can train our new employees. And then a payout of up to 10 days. So we also want to acknowledge the fact that that is part of their compensation package. So if they don't use all their days, they can get paid out up to 10 of those days. Because we also want them to use them too. If you're working 12 months, it's important for your own mental health that you take your vacation time too. So this encourages them to still take some time so they don't lose them. But it also allows them to not take them all and get paid out up to 10. Added some clarifying language around probationary employees and just cause. So Senate Bill 283 added some protections for probationary employees about termination and requiring just cause. Previously there have been no protections for the probationary classified employee, could be dismissed essentially without cause. We would never engage in such practices. We always would have only done that for just cause anyways. So this really didn't affect us other than adding the language that matched that. What we did do for probationary employees though is we agreed with the union to limit the ability to grieve this beyond step 2. So there's a grievance process in the agreement that goes from their immediate supervisor to the superintendent and then to the board. We've limited it to just to the superintendent. So if we've gone through the just cause process, they have the right to grieve up to level 2, and with that process stops. That's not for permanent employees. Of course, permanent employees have access to the whole grievance process. And anywhere we had the word just cause, we replaced with just cause. LWOP, leave without pay. We put in language here, there's days of the year that are non-student days that don't always have professional development planned for all the classified staff members, or there might not be jobs for them to do because their jobs are student dependent. So in the absence of a professional development of some nature, or the principal needing them in their position, or their supervisor needing them in that position, they can request to take a non-student day as a leave without pay. And if the supervisor's in agreement and there's no other reason for them to be there, it frees up a little bit of money because we're paying them essentially to be there when they didn't have to be, and it allows them some freedom on those days too. Of course, they can still be there. So those are really the main things that we addressed. And again, it was just, like I said, a pleasure to work with the whole team. Everybody, it felt like a team effort.
Tim, I want to mention too, I'm not sure you mentioned that you talked about the 4% for the COLA increase. The insurance cap is also a me too, so it's the same.
Right, they'll the $50 this time and then next time. Correct, me too.
Okay, any questions for Tim?
I just wanted to say, I'm glad that it was such a pleasant experience. I negotiated a contract labor for and not so pleasant. So that's good.
Yeah, it's always a good process really for the, the union members to really sit down and discuss what's affecting them most. So it's an opportunity we appreciate, but we appreciate even more when it was just so cordial and pleasant. Yeah.
I really commend the classified team. They came to the table with thoughts and ideas and comments, and they were prepared, but they didn't come like ready to battle. They came ready to work together. And so when we discussed, it was good.
Yeah, and it was driven by their needs, our local needs. It didn't feel like either it was a agenda driven by, a state level or national level organization either. It was really driven by the needs of our people.
They purposely rejected some of the state/national sort of points of emphasis. You need to do this kind of thing. And they said, no, we got it. Leave us alone. We'll do our thing. And that was much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
For those of us who were part of the team 2 years ago, I want to compliment both the union and and you guys for your work doing this negotiation in a much more collegial manner from what I've heard. So yeah, appreciate your guys' efforts. Okay, with that, are we ready for a motion?
I move to approve the agreement between North Bend School District number 13 and Oregon School Employees Association for the term of July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2026.
Okay, there is a motion and a second, and it is I move to approve the agreement between the North Bend School District number 13 and the Oregon School Employees Association for the term of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. Any further discussion? Okay, a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 6-0. Okay, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item 15, board comments. Okay,